You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your circle. And today, I need you to hear this with your heart, not just your ears. Because your future isn't being destroyed by bad luck. It's being delayed by bad people. People who look harmless. People who sound supportive. People who clap when you talk about success, but get uncomfortable when you actually start becoming it. Let me ask you something. Who's around you when you're tired? Who's around you when you doubt yourself? Who's around you when you're trying to grow? Because the truth is this, not everyone in your life is meant to go where you're going. Some people are chapters, not the whole book. You're trying to build discipline, but you're surrounded by distraction. You're trying to elevate, but you keep entertaining energy that's heavy, lazy, and negative. And you wonder why your motivation keeps fading. You wonder why your focus keeps slipping. It's not because you're weak. It's because you're leaking power to people who don't deserve access to it. See, strong minds need strong environments. Big dreams need clean energy. And the hardest lesson you'll ever learn is this. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones slowing you down the most. Not because they hate you, but because they fear what happens when you outgrow them. You can't soar with eagles if you're still hanging with chickens. You can't chase greatness while carrying dead weight. At some point, you have to stop explaining your vision to people who don't have one. At some point, you have to choose growth over comfort, purpose over popularity, destiny over familiarity. Because the truth is, your future is too important to be negotiated by people who are addicted to average. And today, you're going to learn exactly who those people are and why you must avoid them now. Your environment shapes your destiny more than your talent ever will. You can have big dreams, strong potential, and a burning desire to win, but if you stay planted in the wrong soil, you will never grow the way you were meant to. Think about it like this. A seed doesn't choose its power based only on what's inside it, but on where it's placed. Put a strong seed in weak soil, and it struggles. Put an average seed in rich soil, and it thrives. In the same way, the people you spend time with, the conversations you listen to, and the energy you allow around you are either feeding your future or poisoning it. Every day, your environment is quietly programming you. The jokes people make, the goals they chase, the way they talk about work, success, discipline, and life, all of it sinks into your mind. If you're surrounded by people who complain more than they create, who doubt more than they do, who fear change instead of chasing it, then without realizing it, you start thinking smaller. You start settling. You start accepting things you once swore you'd never tolerate. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. We adapt to what feels normal around us. On the other hand, when you're around driven people, focused people, people who respect time and effort, something powerful happens. You rise. Your standards change. Your excuses sound louder in your own head. Your laziness feels uncomfortable. You begin to expect more from yourself because everyone around you expects more too. That's how growth works. It's not magic. It's influence. Your destiny is shaped in the quiet moments, the late-night talks, the group chats, the hangouts, the routines. Are those moments pulling you forward or holding you back? Are they building your discipline or feeding your distractions? You can't keep asking for a new future while staying loyal to an old environment. You can't demand greatness from life while surrounding yourself with people who are at peace with average. Changing your environment doesn't mean you think you're better than others. It means you're serious about becoming better than you were yesterday. It means you respect your potential too much to waste it in rooms where nobody is growing. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from what's familiar so you can walk into what's possible. Because at the end of the day, your destiny is not just about what you want, it's about what you allow. And if you want a higher life, you must choose a higher environment that matches the future you say you want to live. Not everyone who smiles at you wants you to win. And that's one of the hardest truths to accept on a growth journey. Some people will cheer when you talk about your dreams, but their energy shifts the moment you start taking real steps toward them. They're comfortable with the idea of your success, but uncomfortable with the reality of it. And you have to understand this clearly. Envy doesn't always look like hatred. Sometimes it looks like jokes. Sometimes it looks like doubt. Sometimes it looks like concern that just happens to show up every time you try to level up. There are people in your life who don't want to see you fail, but they also don't want to see you pass them. So they keep you close, not to lift you, but to limit you. They drain your fire slowly, quietly, and consistently. They question your plans. They minimize your goals. They highlight every risk and ignore every possibility. After enough time around that kind of energy, you start second-guessing yourself. Not because your dream got weaker, but because your belief did. You have to pay attention to how people react to your growth. When you talk about discipline, do they mock it? When you talk about change, do they get defensive? When you talk about ambition, do they say, be realistic? Those aren't neutral responses. Those are signals. And if you ignore them, you end up carrying the weight of other people's fears instead of chasing your own future. See, real supporters don't just clap for your potential. They respect your process. They don't just like your posts. They like your progress. They don't just say, you can do it. They say, how can I help? But fake support shows up when it's easy and disappears when it's time for work. Fake support loves the version of you that's small enough to make them feel safe. You don't need enemies to lose momentum. All it takes is being surrounded by people who don't push you, don't challenge you, and don't believe in more. Because their comfort becomes your ceiling if you let it. And you start shrinking your dreams just to keep your relationships intact. You have to decide what matters more, being liked or being great. Because the higher you go, the fewer people can go with you. And that's not arrogance. That's alignment. You're not here to fit in. You're here to become something bigger than your old environment. Your energy is your power, and you can't keep giving it to people who don't want to see you shine brighter than them. Growth requires separation. And that's a truth most people try to avoid because it feels uncomfortable. We like what's familiar. We like what's safe. We like the people who know our old stories, our old habits, our old excuses. But the version of you that wants more cannot keep living in the same space as the version of you that settled. At some point, evolution demands distance. Not because others are bad, but because you are changing, and change needs room to breathe. Every new level of life asks a new version of you to show up. New standards, new discipline, new focus. And when you start operating differently, the old environment starts feeling tight. Conversations don't hit the same. Routines feel empty. Comfort begins to feel like a cage. That's not a problem. That's a signal. It's your future calling you out of your past. Separation doesn't always mean cutting people off in anger. Sometimes it means cutting distractions off in silence. It means saying no to what you used to say yes to. It means choosing early mornings over late nights, solitude over noise, purpose over popularity. It means you stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your hunger, and you stop shrinking your ambition to make others feel comfortable. You can't carry everything into your next chapter. Some habits don't fit. Some relationships don't fit. Some mindsets don't fit. And the longer you try to drag them forward, the heavier your life becomes. That's why so many people feel tired all the time. Not because they're doing too much, but because they're holding on to too much. Separation is not rejection. It's alignment. You're not abandoning people. You're answering a higher calling. You're choosing the future you see over the past you survived. And yes, it will feel lonely at times. Growth is quiet. Transformation is lonely. Elevation is isolating. But that loneliness is temporary. The regret of never becoming who you were meant to be is permanent. You don't owe everyone access to your next level. Some people were only meant to walk with you to a certain point, not all the way to the top. And when you understand that, you stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop explaining your discipline. You just move. Because every great transformation in history started with one person who was willing to leave the familiar for the possible, willing to walk away from comfort to step into purpose, willing to separate from what was easy to build what was meaningful. And the moment you accept that growth requires distance, you finally give yourself permission to become who you were always meant to be. Energy is contagious. And whether you realize it or not, you are constantly catching the mood, mindset, and motivation of the people around you. You walk into a room, and before a single word is spoken, you can feel it. Some rooms make you feel alive, focused, ready to take on the world. Other rooms drain you, slow you down, and make your dreams feel heavier than they should. That's not coincidence. That's energy. And if you don't protect yours, someone else will consume it. Every conversation you have either adds fuel to your fire or pours water on it. When you're around people who complain, your mind starts to complain. When you're around people who doubt, your mind starts to doubt. When you're around people who avoid responsibility, your mind looks for shortcuts. It happens subtly. You don't wake up one day and decide to lose your drive. You slowly absorb the tone, the pace, and the attitude of your environment. That's why protecting your energy is not selfish, it's strategic. You can't build a powerful future with a drained mind. You can't stay disciplined when your emotional battery is always low. You can't stay focused when your attention is constantly being pulled into drama, negativity, and noise. Your energy is the engine behind your habits, your mindset, and your consistency. If that engine is weak, nothing else works the way it should. People who respect their future are careful with their time, their thoughts, and their company. They don't go everywhere. They don't listen to everything. They don't engage in every argument. They understand that every interaction has a cost. Some interactions recharge you. Others leave you tired for no reason. And if you keep paying attention to the wrong things, you'll wonder why you're exhausted even when you're not doing much. High-level people don't just manage their schedule, they manage their energy. They know when to step back. They know when to say no. They know when to protect their peace instead of proving a point. Because peace is power. Clarity is power. Focus is power. And you can't have any of that if you're constantly surrounded by chaos. Your future needs your best energy, not your leftovers. Your goals need your sharpest mind, not your tired one. That means you have to start treating your energy like your most valuable asset. Not everyone deserves access to it. Not every conversation deserves your attention. Not every situation deserves your emotional response. The moment you decide to guard your energy, you take control of your direction. You stop letting other people set the tone for your life. You stop reacting and start leading. And when your energy is protected, your confidence gets stronger, your focus gets clearer, and your progress gets faster. Because once you understand that energy spreads faster than words, you'll stop walking into rooms that weaken you and start building spaces that make you stronger. You owe it to your dreams to choose better company. Because the people you keep close are either helping your vision breathe or slowly suffocating it. Your dreams are fragile in the early stages. They need protection, encouragement, and the right atmosphere to grow. When you share your goals with the wrong people, they don't just hear your words. They judge them through the lens of their own limits. And when someone has never dared to chase something big, your ambition sounds unrealistic to them. Not because it is, but because they've never had the courage to try. Every dream you have is a responsibility. It's not just about what you want, it's about what you're willing to protect. If you say you want more out of life, but keep surrounding yourself with people who are comfortable with less, you're sending mixed signals to your own mind. You can't expect your future to take you seriously if you don't take it seriously enough to choose better influences. Better company doesn't mean perfect people. It means people who respect effort, people who value growth, people who don't laugh at your discipline or make you feel strange for wanting more. It means people who push you when you're tired and remind you who you are when you forget. When you're around the right people, your dreams don't feel heavy. They feel possible. Your vision doesn't feel lonely. It feels supported. You have to understand that your dreams are not random thoughts. They're directions. They're signals from your higher self telling you who you're supposed to become. And every time you stay in a circle that doesn't match that future, you're delaying the person you're meant to be. You're choosing comfort over calling, familiarity over destiny. Choosing better company is an act of self-respect. It's you saying, my future matters. It's you saying, my goals deserve an environment that feeds them. You don't need everyone to understand your journey, but you do need people who won't sabotage it with doubt, laziness, or fear. The higher your dreams, the higher your standards have to be, not just for yourself, but for the people you allow into your life. You don't grow into greatness by accident. You grow into it by intention, by choosing who gets access to your time, your mind, your energy, and your vision. Your dreams are watching your decisions. They're paying attention to who you sit with, who you listen to, and who you become when you're around them. And if you really want that future you keep talking about, then you have to start building a present that supports it. Because at the end of the day, you don't rise alone, and you don't fall alone either. The people you choose are shaping your direction right now. So choose the ones who push you forward, not the ones who keep you stuck. And if this message hit your heart, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.